It's worth $7. I got a deal.
I bet you could resale that for $7.
I'll bet you could, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the sales tax, I guess.
You could make money with that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's like he just bought you a Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's an investment.
Damn, I can't
That's
believe
an
it.
investment piece.
I don't even know how to reference this in the real show. Like, I don't know. People aren't going to believe me. They're not going to believe this really happened. I mean, like, it's definitely a hook to get us to go to fucking Patreon. It really happened.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. Nothing really going on today.
Yeah.
And now, broadcasting from the churn, that guy's Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
I am, I think, speechless, I guess. I can't believe this really happened.
So we should just get right into the first letter?
Listen, listeners. If you're not a Patreon, put a buck.
This is a good week for a buck.
I want to tell the story, but like, I don't know where to even start. Nick got me a birthday gift.
He did. A very nice, a very thoughtful
wonderful
gift.
gift. And you see, this is why no one buys you stuff. Right here. It's because you can't appreciate a good gift when you have one.
Yeah. No, that's the lesson. That's Nick got me a very nice gift, which, as you would predict, I was absolutely over the moon about.
Yeah.
But
You
then
were
Nick
very
also-
pleased.
I was very pleased. I was absolutely electric. Like,
Well, as
oh my
we're-
God, Nick thought of my birthday, because we always do an end-of-the-year gift exchange for Christmas. They're usually gag gifts. It's silly. And so he whips out this gift, and I'm like, oh my God, you got the Christmas gift early. I'm not ready. He's like, no, buddy, this is for your birthday. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so sweet. And then I'm thinking, that'd probably be a gag gift. And I open it up, and it's not a gag gift. And I'm like, oh my God, you got me like this little gift. It's small, but it's nice. It's thoughtful.
You can say what it is.
It's a little Nevada shot glass.
Yeah. It's a very nice little Nevada shot glass.
And you get it from a little Nevada store. And I'm like, oh, you went to a little Nevada store, and you got me this little shot glass. I mentioned it. What a thoughtful gift.
Well, the store is
you.
like home means Nevada. Like it's a home means Nevada store.
Let's not bury the lead here, because
You're being weirdly vague about what the shot glass is.
because I'm in shock, Jacob. I'm in shock at the rest of it. And so it's kind of hard right now to even look at the shot glass, though it is nice. Granted,
as we're
fine.
recording, we are at about the halfway point between Jim's birthday and my birthday.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that.
Yeah, it's been brought up vaguely, like in the context of, hey, I'm also a December birthday.
No, in the Patreon today, he gave you your birthday present.
He did.
You were very grateful about it, and I mentioned
Very
it is
thankful.
almost my birthday as well.
Yes.
And then what happened, Jim?
That's about the time that Nick went ahead and reached back into his little Santa Claus bag.
Yep.
And he had a whole nother gift for Jacob, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's just going full on Saint Nick today. There is a discrepancy. There is a discrepancy. There is something of a wealth gap between the value.
The haves and the have-nots.
We might say the value of the items.
The emotional value?
Yeah, emotions are part of the way you assess value. The other way is probably hundreds of dollars, I think, is probably the other way.
Hundreds of emotional dollars?
This is the most expensive prank that has ever been done on Pod Therapy. And it's not even close. Like by a factor of 20. This is the most expensive prank ever. This prank probably required a household conversation to follow through with. And it happened. And I'm just speechless. And I'm sad because the people who are not patrons are like, this is a bit. It's not a bit. It's not a bit. And I'm angry.
I don't think it'll ruin
and I'm
anything.
Frustrated.
Because you should still go to patreon.com/therapy.
But you should
and listen to the reaction. Because what Nick got me to follow up after giving Jim his very nice shot glass.
Yeah, it's a nice shot glass. I get it. It's nice for a shot glass.
Nick got me an iPad. And I am overwhelmed.
It's an iPad.
It was very kind. Thank you, Nick.
You're
Not
welcome.
Thank you.
Not
Welcome,
a
buddy.
gag iPad.
You're welcome.
No,
Not
it's just an iPad.
Oh, it's like a cardboard iPad. No, it's made by Apple.
Yep.
It's a real iPad.
I went ahead and started it up.
Not even like
I haven't set it up
joke
yet, but
iPad.
I started it up, fired it up.
New in the box.
Yep.
Like never before used.
Yep.
I got a shot glass.
It
With
is
the
an
price tag still on it.
It is an iPad Mini, Jim. It's not an iPad Pro. Like it's not the
Honestly,
big
Yeah,
one.
I don't see what the big deal
This
is. It's not an
wasn't
iPad
even
Pro.
expensive for a shot glass. It was $5.99. That's how much they are at the gas station. I mean, it's nice.
Who are you getting your shot glasses from? I mean, you're
Right.
you're overpaying for shot glasses.
Yeah,
It's a nice shot glass.
it's a very nice shot.
You gotta get a new shot glass
At least
guy.
I can put whiskey in this. I think
Yep.
that's how I'm going to solve this problem. Well, happy birthday, Jacob.
Thank you.
That's from both of us.
I think you might be a little late trying to jump on that one there, Jim.
Yeah, I think I know what Nick spent the rest of the pod therapy money on. Right before tax time. Yeah. Way to close out the accounts, buddy. Well, we might be short this month, but at least Jacob got a fucking iPad. Also, we can't afford to run the show anymore. All right, patreon.com/therapy. We also got...
It's a good one.
It is actually one for the books. This is going down as the most expensive prank ever.
I mean, you're
ever
hearing
done
Jim
to me.
right now. This is Jim calmed down.
This is me
Jim
after the
Jim has
shock.
settled down.
This is me after I've staggered over to the side of the road and just shakily watched the car on fire in front of me. And like the EMTs put the blanket over you and like ask you, "Sir, are you okay, sir?" And they're screaming through the void and I'm hearing an echo over and over. And then all of a sudden somebody shakes me and they say, Jim, God damn it, are you with me? And I'm like, huh? iPad. I have a shot glass.
What's really funny is that Jim hasn't looked me in the eye since you opened.
I
it.
don't know what I'm
He
so
truly is not.
I'm so angry, but really happy for Jacob because that's nice. iPads. Who doesn't want an iPad Mini? It's a really nice gift. Something you get for somebody real special, like somebody you just celebrated 4 years of show with, maybe on their birthday.
I've got it fired up.
So, also in the show,
Wait, iPads come. It came with a 78% charge.
Oh,
Hey, there
that's
you go.
Surprised that they come so
There you go.
charged.
really nice.
Look at that.
I've heard they have nice batteries. That's,
See, you don't have to charge yours. What are you
that's
complaining
true.
about?
That is true.
yeah.
Yours is
Mine-
ready to go
Mine
right now.
runs on liquid fuel as I hold
you
it in my
could
hands.
pour your coffee into that and drink
I
it right
stare at
now.
my little home means Nevada. Right, I could sip espresso from it. So it's really not just a shot glass.
No,
Right.
it's also
a cup.
I can't believe you did this.
Multifunction.
I can't believe you did this. Like the level of effort that you did in planning this and like
Believe it or not, it didn't take a whole lot of planning.
really? This was an impulse move?
This is a swipe of the credit card.
Yeah.
You don't need to plan
guess.
this at all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It is a funny bit.
It is it though?
From where I'm sitting, it is.
I mean, I don't know how funny it is.
From where I'm sitting, it's a
I
pretty
mean,
good
I
bit.
think it's just kind of mean. I think maybe it's just that.
Nope.
Maybe the whole fucking bit is just mean. That's fine.
Nope.
That's fine.
You're really red.
I'm fine with it. I don't care.
Jim is.
I'm not
I gotta
bothered.
express to you, listeners,
You're bothered.
how truly angry Jim is.
Just saying. I guess I opened mine first. I guess I just was so excited. Like, oh, that's so nice. I'm thinking, oh, he probably got, like, Jacob a nice coffee mug. Or also a shot glass. Or I was thinking, maybe he got, like, a bottle of whiskey. And, like, I have a shot glass. Like, oh, we'll have some sips. It's an iPad Mini. So I was off. I was off by a lot. A pretty significant lot. So also, we got chocolate in the mail.
We did.
Thank you, Megan Smith. Megan Smith sent us lovely chocolate and also animated a really cool picture that I want to post, except that it may also encourage self-harm. So now that I look at this picture again, Megan,
Actually,
I might
Jim
not post
seems
it.
pretty upset generally right now. Why don't you go ahead and take that picture away from him?
Yeah, I don't think I should be looking at this. I don't think this is going to help me. But Megan Smith, very sweet of you to send us wonderful chocolate.
and the chocolate's amazing.
God damn, what was that company called?
Hold on.
Human.
stay human.
Get back to human.
Get back to human.
That's it. Yeah.
Damn, it's vegan chocolate, paleo vegan.
It is delicious.
It's got it has a bunch of things it does not have on the wrapper, so I don't know what's in it. Because
what does it have?
I don't. Delicious, I think, is the only ingredient.
Listeners,
in this thing.
feel free to send in things, chocolate bars for Jim,
Yes.
and just cash for Nick and I.
That would be
Yes,
great.
that'd be fine.
Yeah, if you want to send me, a paper clip and then fucking send Jacob a gold bar or something like. I mean, that's great. It's his birthday month too, and I want him to be happy too. But I mean, I'm just saying. Do you see why communism's a thing? Do you just get it now? It's moments like this that you're like, yeah, fucking Karl Marx was kind of onto something, right?
This is the path you're
fuck
taking.
this. Bezos has a penis ship, and Jacob has an iPad mini, and I have a shot glass, and I like my shot glass. I'm grateful for my shot glass, and I'm going to use the shot glass. But
And every time you use it, you're gonna think.
I mean, fuck. That's exactly what's going to happen. God, you're so right. It doesn't matter what I put in this cup.
Happy birthday.
It will always taste
Happy birthday, little man.
of the bitter tears of this day. Kings to you, Nick. Well played, sir.
You're welcome.
Well played.
Thank you.
The most expensive, most elaborate, most understated prank in show history. The fact that you just subtly walked in with that A-bomb in your pocket.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting here eating chocolate,
Yep.
talking about this really cute drawing Megan Smith sent us. I told a story about camping and everything and skinwalker demons, and you just sat there.
It's true. He
Just
did.
even-handed. And right before we started recording, you were like, oh, I have something for Patreon. Great. Great. And then you deliver that.
Yeah.
Well played.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well played.
Thank you.
God. Okay.
I think you should do something similar next week.
Yeah, you just keep doing this.
Right.
This bit will never get old. Patreon.com/therapy. Megan Smith, also the person who sent us this lovely chocolate and a lovely letter, and we read it on our Patreon. Go check it out. And also send us some great art, which, Megan, I love your art. I really do. But I'm going to make an executive decision and not post the art because I find it hilarious. But as you know, we have a very diverse group of listeners, and there could be some people a little sensitive to that because it's hilariously funny, but, in the kind of way that will make Jim laugh, but probably somebody else might, not. So I'm going to protect you from that. But I love it. I think it's great, and you are incredibly talented as an animator, and we need to put you to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if there's one thing you pick up from this, it's that we absolutely need to put you to work and get you going. But Megan Smith also happened to comment on our Patreon today. We have a yearbook that you can sign, and the link will be here in the description. If you're not a patron of the show, just go ahead and open up the description in your podcast app of this episode, and we will link straight to the yearbook. You do not have to be a patron in order to see that. You can just go check it out and drop us a word. Sign our yearbook. Let us know here at the end of season 4 what your thoughts are on the show, if it's made a difference. You hear us talk a lot on this show about the community of people that have formed around it. And if you're not part of the Patreon or you don't necessarily kind of commune with us on social media, you might not always know what the hell we're talking about. But click that link in this episode's description, zap over to the yearbook, and you'll see the many, many people that comment on the yearbook that tell stories and talk about the community that's formed around this. Could be good for you to just see the other people that like the same things you like and that are encouraging each other. So click the link. Feel free to leave us a word or two. You don't have to pay anything to check it out. It's completely free. But Megan Smith, who just signed our yearbook, said this show is the best, cheapest option in mental health and thanked us for being that. And it just kind of rang in my ears because I was like, that is a really nice compliment. I think you get what you pay for and you don't pay for this, or it's $1, or there's people that are overpaying for it so that you don't have to. But yeah, so thanks to all of you who support us. Come check it out and feel free to sign our yearbook. That's important to us at the end of the year. And I thought I had another announcement too. Oh yeah, because we're at the end of the year, another thing that, I guess I should have said this in the Patreon segment, but I didn't plan for us to end the Patreon segment when we did, because I was kind of in an emotional space, and I was just, just kind of processing. And so I don't want to think about that again. I just need to stay where I'm at. If I go back, it's not going to be good for me. I'm seeing red again. It's like I'm reliving it. God, I just stared at the box. I just was like, oh, that's so cute. And then it's like going to be a book. I thought it was going to be my book, and it wasn't. It was not.
Oh, you think you're mad? Imagine how mad I would have been if Nick had gotten me your book.
Oh, yeah, that would have definitely been comparable to how I feel right now. Boy, I'll bet it would. Be very similar.
Basically the same.
Yeah, basically, that would be the same. Another thing that we do at the end of the year, there's an end of the year reflection packet that I've dug up. That's one of my favorite little things to do at the end of the year. I usually pass it out to patients of mine at the end of the year, and it kind of asks you to think about 2021 and things that you've grown in, things you've achieved, and then it brings up questions for the next year that you want to focus on. We publish that on our Patreon. You can check it out, patreon.com/therapy. When you hear this episode, it will already be up on our Patreon. So jump in there, grab that. That is for our patrons. If you'd like access to it, it's $1. Or you could just Google it, just end of the year reflection packet. I'm sure you can find something similar or find the same one. It's not like I wrote it, but, we put it up there. And then we also encourage conversation on our Patreon where people can answer some of those questions from the reflection packet toward each other and just kind of discuss it. So check all that out. That concludes Jim's announcements, which usually would have shown up in Patreon. But as previously stated, shit happened. And
I'm reflecting on my very kind birthday gift.
Yeah, that's a great thing to reflect on because that happened this year. That's nice.
Recently.
All right, I need to reboot. Real people have written in with real problems, and I need to be a real therapist. All right.
Time to bring your A game.
I'm trying, man. I'm just like really trying.
You got to be a professional now.
So to all of today's letter writers, if I come off as catty or bitchy, I need you to know that's not at you. Right? Like if your question's like, oh, this, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a really big fucking problem, writer. Like if I'm just like minimizing you, that's not on you. Okay. So like I apologize in advance. That's Jim. I need to call my therapist, I think, and just work through some shit. But here we are. We're doing it live. First question. Internalized mental health stigma. Hi guys, I've been dealing with mental health problems for many years, seeing therapists and doctors, and I'm even a psychology major at college, but I still struggle with internalized mental health stigma. Currently, I'm in a healthy remission phase, so it's not crippling, but it feels morally wrong that I judge my past self and other people who are experiencing episodes of mental illness. It feeds into feelings of being guilty and ashamed of myself and makes me afraid of fellow mentally ill people. One time at work, a customer who is a regular came by and seemingly started talking to himself about how he met the president of the university I attend today, even though he isn't a member of the university. Later, my boss was chatting with me about that customer, saying he's probably cuckoo and crazy. I said that I agreed that he isn't quite right, but he isn't doing anyone wrong, so I wouldn't mind him. After that conversation, it felt so wrong that I said that when I wouldn't have liked someone to say that about me when I was struggling with symptoms. So how can I handle my own feelings of hate, fear, and shame due to my mental illness? And how do I deal with these conversations with other people so that I'm not furthering stigma? Sorry for the long-winded question. Thank you guys for your funny, chill, and helpful takes on difficult questions. Anonymous.
I kind of understand this in that I've really become aware of how often I say that's crazy.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I'm just really pissed about the iPad. And like even as I'm reading this question, I'm like,
I can hear it in your voice.
Just gritting my teeth over here because like the question's like, oh, how do I not like resent other people for things, and just be grateful. And it's like, yeah, writer, how do you just appreciate the shot glass when other people have the iPad mini? Sorry, you were saying about stigma?
Well, writer.
It's going to be a very long show for me now.
Here's the thing.
You did this to me, okay? So whatever it is that I can't do today for these people, it's your fault. I assume no response. I'm just going to sit here and stare at my beautiful shot glass. God, I can't ever drink from this thing. It's tainted to me.
So as I was saying, Ryder, I can understand this is a good thing actually in the long run because we're becoming more aware of stigma, right?
Yeah.
And so, all of this is coming about because of our awareness of it. I'm becoming a lot more aware of things like crazy or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Crazy does
eliminate it from my vocabulary.
Crazy
me
doesn't
too.
click in my head when I hear someone say the word crazy.
Right.
What
do you mean?
Well, like, and I'm gonna say the word and know that I'm talking about it.
Sure. Yeah.
And
exemplify.
but like when I hear someone say the word retarded,
okay.
as a derogatory, that clicks something in my head.
Okay.
And I don't care for it.
Oh,
Right,
I hear you.
yes.
Yeah.
With crazy, it doesn't click that same button in my head.
It doesn't hit the filter where you
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
whoa, not cool.
But weirdly, calling someone psycho does.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Weirdly, that one clicks, but it's just it's different words for me. As they do, different words for me do different things.
That's true. I find that I'm comfortable using crazy as an adjective to describe things. Like the weather is crazy. Whereas I wouldn't say the
Right.
weather is psycho, or other people use adjectives of mental health like schizo, like the weather's schizo, the
Right,
weather's
right.
bipolar. I won't do that. Like that won't work for me.
I've never
But
heard
crazy
someone
will be
refer to the
okay for
weather
that.
as bipolar.
Oh,
I
I
have.
have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I have.
weather people do it. Yeah, meteorologists are horrible at
Oh, I don't
this.
guess I watch a whole lot of
They started getting
meteorologists.
called out for it
Oh,
because they'd
okay.
be like, "Oh, it's really
there you go.
bipolar out there today," or whatever. Or the economists would be like, "Oh, the stock market
But I
is
think a lot of-
schizophrenic today." It's like, whoa!
I
like,
think
we
a
need
lot
to
of
stop
people
that.
hear it and don't think about it or it doesn't register like it would register for Jim, myself, or other
Right.
people who work in the
Of course,
like
of
you.
course.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
it just clicks.
goes
You
right
just
past
hear it,
you.
right?
Yeah, just an adjective.
Also, you hear someone say it, you go, the two of you, I bet, are like, oh, that's not even accurate.
Right,
exactly.
right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's not
It's
even
a
what
good
this would look
description.
like.
Yeah.
Not only is that mildly offensive,
Yeah.
at best,
It's just bad.
It's just
academically wrong.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Bitcoin is hearing voices? I don't know where you're going with this. What are you trying to describe? How does that visually apply
Right.
to the graph? But, to the writer, I mean, first off, a couple of things. So one, I totally want to first off just applaud you because you're trying to be like a good human, right? And so like only good humans struggle with this kind of stuff. The fact that you're even pulling aside and being like, "Oh man, like I want to do better. I want to make sure that I'm not, kind of going too far with this. I want to be a person who's intentional with this." Huge bravo to that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a good human, for caring about it. At the same time, I want you to remember that like you get graded on intention, right? Like, I mean, your motivations are pure. You're trying to be good. We're all learning as we go. Nick and I are professional therapists. Running the show for 4 years has given us a lot of opportunities to learn that we don't know dick about getting things correct when it comes to saying words, right? We get called out all the time where people are like, "Hey, that word doesn't work really good. Here's why it's hurtful. Here's the history of that. Can you try better?" And like, we have to own that and go, "Hey, thank you." But also people usually don't come at us and be like, "You're a monster. You don't care." No, like they get to know us. And they're
it
like,
hardly
"Hey,
ever
man,
happens.
Hardly ever. Sometimes. Those people don't continue listening to the show. But like other people are like, "Yeah, no, we know your motivations are good. You have good hearts, but you're dumb. And so like, here's how you learn." So just know, writer, that the very first judgment I think is just motivations. I think your motivation is pure. And like, that's such a casual conversation. And like, I'm a therapist. I wouldn't have corrected your boss. If your boss would be like, "Oh, that person's cuckoo, that person's crazy," I wouldn't have gone, "Excuse me, sir, let's discuss mental illness today." Like, no, I just would like, "Yeah, no, I get your sentiment."
But honestly, if you wanted to do that, you could.
You
I think
could.
that's going to be anybody's individual choice, right?
Right.
Because I wouldn't have done it either.
Right.
I mean, there's things that people will say around me that I'm just gonna or whatever, I just kind of brush it off,
brush
like
it off.
Right.
okay, kind of with the eye roll.
Give an
like,
eye
okay,
roll,
That's
yep.
just dumb, and I just move on because it's not worth my effort to engage in this conversation with somebody who I don't really think is going to get anything out of it.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to teach them anything.
The most I'll do to teach people things is, instead of like having a directive conversation where it's like, "You should use this word," or whatever, I will try to role model maybe a healthier way to have adapted to that. So like, if I was sweeping the floor and the boss said that, I would have said, "Well, everybody's working on their own thing, right?"
Right. Yes.
Or
It's
just
something like that. Like we've
like,
all
yeah,
had
he
those days.
looks like he's got some problems.
Yeah, hey man, a lot of good people. A lot of good people go through stuff, right? Ooh, boy, I hope he ends up okay today. Little things that just remind the person, don't forget to humanize this person, right? Like, yeah, that's tough to watch, isn't it? Something like that.
I like that strategy of kind of leading by example.
Yeah.
Just
That
kind
helps.
of portraying, what you want to see.
I
from
always
other
like
people.
that.
I think it's
I always
just a
like that
better way to do it.
over the direct confrontation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting professorial on it.
if
It's
it's-
just preachy.
Some things out there I think require a direct confrontation.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
If your boss suddenly drops the N word,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
feel free to be like, "Hey, boss,
Yeah.
what's
What
up with
the
that?"
hell?
Yeah. And that's how I am with a lot of the mental health words. Like, if I'm out in the wild and somebody's like trying to be silly or whatever, and they're like, first off, I try to remember their intention wasn't to, this is not, I don't want to indict their entire being
Right.
Yeah,
any more
yeah.
than I want to believe that they're indicting others' entire being, right?
Right.
Like,
Well,
I
I
want to
think-
give people the benefit of the doubt.
I think the other thing too is that the mental health stigma is still fairly new and fresh.
Right.
Sure.
Whereas like the issue with the N word has been around and pretty well established. And at this point,
Yes.
you're like, okay, if you don't know about that at this
Right.
point,
Right.
something's wrong,
Yeah.
right? Whereas I think a lot of the things with the mental health, it's not
Or it's-
so much people being just completely willfully
There is some benefit of the doubt.
harmful.
Well,
It's-
and the
they're-
other
yeah,
thing is
Yeah.
this mental illness, when
not being malicious. That was the word.
they're
There you
not
go.
being malicious. Mental illness, when exhibited, affects the room. It does affect the room.
Sure.
Yep.
And this is where I think it gets a little bit tricky to navigate words like stigma. Do I think the boss is wrong in that example? Not necessarily. The boss may have felt uncomfortable. The boss may have been like, well, this is my shop, and this person's talking to themselves out loud about fictional things. It's off-putting to my staff. It's off-putting to my customers. I'm aware of this, and this is my space. I'm in charge. And so if the boss is kind of relieved when that person leaves, and in their weird tension that they were feeling, they kind of
yeah.
debrief with the other person by
Right.
saying like,
Right.
boy, that person was cuckoo, huh? I don't see that as mean-spirited or even stigmatizing. I see that as like humans debriefing from a tense situation.
Right.
And if I would have been in that situation, I probably would have just led by example, but also looked at that person and humanized them. But the other thing the writer's talking about is looking at themselves in the past in a judgmental way. Looking at their historical episodes of mental illness and saying, I'm ashamed of myself. I feel guilty about those things. And asking us, so like, what's the deal with that? And how do I make some kind of progress with like self-hatred and self-shaming? It's a hard thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Way to
Yeah.
volley the conversation, Nick.
Sorry, I was thinking. I kind of got stuck in my head there for a second.
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens. So that's a good question, though, right? Like, okay, so how can you not further the stigma with other people? I would say role model answers that you want to say, not, necessarily like feeling like you have to be professorial. When it comes to yourself, writer, I mean, obviously this is part of your mental health journey. Like looking at yourself in the past and feeling any kind of shame or any kind of guilt. Could I tell you, don't feel ashamed, don't feel guilty? It's entirely normal. Of course I can, but I suspect that you already know those things. And so I want to honor the fact that you're legitimately and authentically reaching these problem feelings of saying, I feel embarrassed about these things. I feel ashamed about the things that have happened. And I don't want to necessarily come alongside you and be like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Sometimes I think, so I'm a part of this thing called Instagram. And I don't recommend
Heard of it?
Yeah, definitely do not recommend. 1 star. Mental health Instagram is super duper gross. And one of the things that it does that really makes me mad sometimes is it goes so far to like quote unquote break the stigma that it's trying to almost like celebrate mental illness and being like, if you've got this,
Oh,
get
yeah,
loud,
yeah.
get proud, tell everybody. They just have to fucking deal with it. And it's like that no, like as a clinician, I look at that and go, well, no, it's an illness. We want it to get better. Like we
Right.
want you to learn to manage this, and sometimes it's a forever thing. But the goal is to diminish it. The goal is to adapt to it. The goal is not to celebrate it and flaunt it. The goal is to deal with
Normalize it.
Normalize it. Yes. Like I don't want people. I want people to. I don't want to. I mean, normalizing it to me
I think-
means helping people understand that it exists, not pretending that it's not a problem. Like that's
Right.
That doesn't do
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
any justice.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're having that conversation with your boss, and then if it's an appropriate time, you being able to open up about it and your personal struggles about it, but
Right.
not celebrate it, but just being able to kind of like, oh well,
Right.
that's. I guess kind of like modeling what that is so that it becomes less of a thing, right? So like
Yeah.
it's instead of it being, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's like if they realize like they didn't know that you had any kind of mental health diagnosis, and then you being able to say, well, yeah, actually I do. And then they kind of realize like, oh, and I didn't even know it this whole time.
Right.
So it does kind of normalize it in the sense of like, oh yeah. So when what you think of as a mental health diagnosis, you picture the most outrageous case.
Sure.
You know, and so you kind of bring it back into like, no, this is something that a lot of people deal with that you probably don't even realize.
Right.
Within your small circle of people.
Yeah, and that I think is normalizing it. And I apologize, I was probably unclear. What I meant specifically was, like, when the writer talks about their own past and struggling with their own shame for mental illness, I kind of wanted to speak to, like, hey, it's actually okay to have that feeling, right? Because, like, and that's why I was bringing up Instagram. Sorry, I was super unclear.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to say, like, oh, Instagram would have you believe that you shouldn't be ashamed, like, wear it, flaunt it, it is what it is, self-acceptance. And, like, yes, there's room for that part of the conversation, but I want to normalize the fact that you don't feel comfortable with your previous episodes of mental illness. Most of us feel a sense of shame. I have had full-blown panic attacks in the presence of other humans, in the presence of colleagues. Those are not my finest moments. Those are embarrassing. I can laugh at them, but the laughter itself is a coping skill. Like,
Sure.
Deep down, I'm like, God, I can't believe that happened. I'm so horrified. Like, I really hope people one day forget that. So, like, I empathize with the writer, and I think it's okay to look back and be like, I'm not proud of those things, and that really irks me.
I do think
that's not bad.
Do you think there's a difference between saying that you're not proud of it versus shame? Because when I think of
Shame's
shame,
a strong word.
Yeah, because when I think of shame, I think of not just I did something,
Right.
but a judgment on yourself for having done it.
Good
so
point.
I'm a bad person, or
Right.
I'm less
this
than
reflects
because
on me
of
and my character.
right. And
yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, "Oh, I'm embarrassed that this happened."
Right.
But I do think that if you're having these thoughts of I'm worthless or I'm whatever because of this thing happening,
Right.
that I think can become problematic.
The advice I would give you, writer, is speak to yourself, that past self, and think about your past the same way you would a friend. And so, like, if a friend came to you and said, hey, man, this happened to me or whatever, I'm so sorry this happened in my past, I feel so ashamed. I think a good and caring person would probably respond to their friend and say something like, hey, you were trying your best. Like, you were doing your best in that situation. And you know what? A lot of that was out of your control. You didn't have the skills or tools yet to deal with that. There's an entire portion of healthcare industry who's designed to help with this. You didn't have that yet. So I don't hold you accountable for that. You're not a bad person for that. You were ill-equipped. You did the best you could with what you had. And like, you would be forgiving to a friend. So we call that method suggestion, which is to talk to yourself as you would to a friend, because our brain works a little bit better from that perspective than from self-critical perspectives. We tend to beat ourselves up, and we speak to ourselves in a way we would never speak to another human. So sometimes we can kind of right-size our own self-criticism by pretending to speak to somebody else. But really good letter. And, you know, it's very relatable. A lot of us are there.
Yep.
So definitely take some of that advice to heart. I'm glad to hear that you're doing better. Glad to hear you're a person who wants to be a good human. Glad to hear that you're trying really hard to make a difference in other people's lives. And we're glad to have you as a member of our show, listening to this, being a part of this, and hopefully continuing to destigmatize it and also point people toward help. You know, that's destigmatizing goes in the wrong direction when it starts to celebrate mental illness as if it's not something to address and it's just something the rest of the world's broken. I don't know that that's always the best way to do things. Like, I want to see people get help when they need help. So,
Yes.
And I think you're advocating.
It's a great letter. I'm glad you wrote in about it.
Really strong.
Now, can I pay you a compliment, Jim?
Oh, well, are you gonna give me a compliment and then give Jacob a fucking iPad? Because then no, I'd actually be better off if you just didn't.
I'm fine.
Oh no, he's
Let
looking
me
back
grab
into
my
the bag.
bag.
No. There better not be more iPads in there. I got one for SJ. What is going on? Did you hit the lottery?
I have to say, you did a great job of reeling in your professionalism, of bringing down your emotion to be able to focus on the next letter. So, and for the listener. So good job, Jim.
Thanks, man.
Now, in an effort,
thank you for the clap. I appreciate that, Jacob.
in an effort to I'm going to go ahead in an effort to keep the rest of the show on track.
Yes.
I didn't get Jacob an iPad. The iPad, that's from work. We've got a new employee that starts in 2 weeks. That's her iPad.
Oh.
When I held it up, I
That's-
flashed the barcode that's already
Yeah,
on the
that's
back of it
that's
for
work.
Nick's work.
Oh.
The iPad that he has that's his iPad.
I just pulled up another iPad
What?
and
Yeah.
downloaded the picture
What
of
the hell?
of the hello
so
screen.
we're just
You were
Yeah,
in
so
on it the
I-
entire time?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wait, from the moment you got the box,
Yeah.
you knew what it was and what the joke was?
I brought an extra iPad just to have that welcome
Technically-
screen.
Wow.
technically he was in on the joke since I texted him 2 days ago.
Whoa. Wow. Guys, this Penn and Teller level fucking sleight of hand.
I was really happy with my Switch
It
after
was
I,
good.
after
It
I
was
held
good.
up the wrapped up iPad Mini and
Oh
then
my
pretending
God.
to unwrap it while making the
I was
switch
even-
to the
I
other
was
one.
even
Wow,
convinced.
I didn't catch any of that.
Yeah. 'Cause
I
if-
thought that was
you notice-
seamless. He
if
pulled
you-
up the thing
Yeah.
that shows the hello screen.
Yeah.
Where you do and you were
The
out.
language select and all that.
Jacob,
Yep.
your acting skills are fabulous. Like, I mean, you legit looked like breathless. Like, you came off as like exactly like I would think. You came off as like almost like awkward. Like, oh my God, this is too much. Like, thank you, but this is too much. And like, I'm going with it, but this is a lot, you know? Wow. Well played, guys. Well played. Am I relieved? Yes. I'm pretty relieved.
I was because I'm pretty sure if I didn't
My
if I didn't-
$5.99 shot glass just got a lot
Oh,
better.
well, that's the bad news.
Yeah.
He also didn't really get you a shot.
Yeah,
glass.
this is on loan.
I'm gonna need
This
that
is
back
also
too.
for his coworker.
yeah. No, I kind of got the feeling that this was going to be our last show. So
It was
going to
continue. Yeah.
I should probably break that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that's reassuring. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that now. That way I can be good for the second half of the show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about managing therapy expectations. That feels right. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, Richard Macy, and Lord Colin Stewart. If you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. And we've got our questions from Manu. Week 2. So here's our question. In December 1851, where was the first YMCA of North America established? Not the village people, but the fun to stay at. But it's fun to stay at. Oh, okay. Is it A, Montreal, Quebec, B, Washington, D.C., C, Ottawa, Ontario, or D, Boston, Mass? If you'd like to join the Therapy Producers and become go to patreon.com/therapy.
Huh. Okay.
All right, wait. So it's where is the first YMCA established?
In December 1851. Wow.
Okay.
Where was the first YMCA of North America established?
Okay.
A, Montreal, B, Washington, D.C., C, Ottawa, or D, Boston, Massachusetts?
I also got 2 Canadians.
I don't feel like that can be possibly right. I'm going Boston. It's a big enough metro area
Okay.
that I think the YMCA would have been necessary. I think that like the entire credo in the beginning was like Young Men Christian Association or whatever was trying to like reach urban young people with like sports and athletics.
By the way, if you had offered me an iPad, I could not have told you what YMCA stood for.
Okay. Well, that's what it is. Yeah. the Young
Yeah,
Men
no,
Christian
as you say it, I'm
Association.
like, oh, that is what it stands
That's
for.
what it was. It was
Yeah.
a religious organization in the beginning. And I think that would have existed in Boston, which does have a very strong like Catholic background and stuff. I could totally see that being a place that has the right confluence of factors to have created
Right.
that.
So it was Montreal, Boston,
Washington,
Washington.
D.C., or Ottawa?
Ottawa.
I feel... Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I was kind of feeling Boston, too. I'll go with Washington, D.C. I'm not feeling Montreal because I don't think of, like, the Christian Association being big in Montreal.
Yeah.
Ottawa could be, but
I mean, where else
I'm
would
gonna go
it be?
with
It's going to be
Washington.
Boston, man.
You guys are talking me out of my guess because my guess is Montreal.
Yeah, I don't think so, dude. I
Might
don't
go
think
with it.
Canada's
My
gonna
guess
be
is
a thing.
Montreal, and it's only because the other Canadian was Ottawa.
This
Ottawa,
bookie's
yep.
good.
My guess for Montreal is because the question says North America
Yeah.
and not. So I feel like they snuck that. I feel
No.
like Manu snuck that North America in there.
Manu doesn't think like us. Manu just looks at everything that's not South America and calls it North America.
No.
That's how she's thinking, man. She doesn't realize that there's only America, and then there's also Canada and Mexico.
Right.
Like, we barely acknowledge those people. So she doesn't have that American state of mind. So she's trying to be
The older I
technically
get, the more I want to move to Canada.
accurate. I know, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm going to stick with Montreal.
Okay.
You guys both went Boston, huh?
I'm going Boston. No, he took D.C.
I did take DC.
Oh, so you guys took
It's
the two
definitely
American cities.
Boston. It's
Yeah,
going to be a slam dunk on Boston.
I'm going Montreal.
How do I do this?
And the winner is.
Oh, remove the black highlight. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was a smart way to send trivia to us, guys. If you want to sponsor trivia, send it down podtherapyguys@gmail.com.
Oh, damn.
What
It's
is it?
Boston.
It is Montreal.
Whoa! Really?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh! From the Raptors.
North America.
We did just get life coached. Damn.
Bonus question.
I dug into Manu's mind there.
You really
and,
did.
and we became one.
Yeah, there was a mind meld. It
Yeah.
was pure Spock.
Bonus question. YMCA's headquarters is located in Switzerland. True or false? Switzerland borders Italy, Germany, Austria, and Liechtenstein.
What?
Wait, borders all of those?
That
Yes.
can't be true. Sweden is one of those.
Switzerland.
I'm off to a really rough start. I'm gonna be honest.
You
with
need to just completely reboot.
Sweden and Switzerland.
Yeah, one has the fish.
Here's my problem. Those feel like the same place.
Oh no, we're aware of that.
Yeah. I don't even know which one of them makes clocks or knives. Like
Switzerland. Swiss Army
They
knives.
both make them? Switzerland makes clocks and knives?
Yeah, Swiss clocks, Swiss Army knives. They're famous for both those.
So
things.
wait, Swiss means Switzerland?
Correct.
Yes.
What is Sweden?
Sorry, I didn't realize that we had to go all the way to that.
Yeah, I was
Swiss refers
really
to the
deep
country
in
of
this.
Switzerland.
Got it. And
The
then
Swedes?
Sweden
or
is a
Swedes?
Scandinavian country.
Yeah.
Isn't Switzerland?
No.
Switzerland's not, but Sweden is.
Yes.
Questions about Sweden?
Scandinavia is way up in the top. Or Sweden.
Sweden.
And Scandinavia is way up at the top.
What's the question? Is it about Switzerland or Sweden?
Switzerland.
It's about lutefisk.
Shit. Well, then I don't even know where that is. I thought it was all up there in the cold places.
I'm gonna say true. I think it borders all those.
I'm going to say false. Why not?
I'm going true just because it seems like a whole lot of lot
very
of countries
specific.
to put on there for it to not be true.
Okay, let's see.
I'm just going gamesmanship with Mono today.
Yeah.
Manu.
Manu.
I don't know why I just said mono.
True. Now say Liechtenstein 3 times.
Ah!
Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein.
Yep.
Liechtenstein.
Not gonna get me.
You got me.
All right, thank you, Manu.
There you go.
I didn't
Nice.
even know Liechtenstein was a
Oh, that's right. I forgot
country.
that Manu had the extra true false question as well. So
Yes.
we get four possible points today.
We
It
do.
does work. I like that very much. All right. Got a new question here, and I lost it, so I am finding it. There it is. Managing my therapy expectations. Hey, guys. I'm hoping you can help me manage my expectations for therapy a bit. Pretty much my whole life, I've been dealing with severe perfectionism, which has led to extremely low self-esteem and depression. I'm currently taking Wellbutrin to help with the depression. I've been badly wanting to see a therapist for years, but due to the wonderful American health insurance system that Jim never stops raving about, and my bad decision not to be rich, the longest I've ever
Oh yeah,
been...
bad call on that.
That's just a miss. The longest I've ever been able to see a therapist was for about 3 months. I've had 3 therapists, 2 of which have been through BetterHelp-esque websites. I've made it clear to all of them that my main goal is to work on my perfectionism and low self-esteem. Ultimately, their advice always boils down to try saying nice things to yourself as much as possible. Say something like say something you like about yourself every morning. When you make a mistake, tell yourself that it's not that big of a deal. Of course, that all sounds great and simple, but if I could do those things, I wouldn't need a therapist. They would also often give me compliments when we started the sessions, and that just felt like they were pandering, and it kind of made me angry. I hate pretty much everything about myself, and every mistake makes me feel like a complete failure. I can say nice things about myself all day, but it feels ridiculous and insincere. My question is if 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 this is the standard CBT approach to my issues. My in-laws recently offered to pay for a therapist for me. As hard as it was to accept help from people, I know I need to do it, but I'm worried it's going to end up being a waste of their money if the therapist just tells me to be nice to myself. Is the fact that I've never been able to stay with a therapist for long clouding my outlook since I never saw progress before? Does this approach actually work over time? Or is there something I can tell my future therapist that may help them to guide me better? Also, I've heard lobotomies can help. Are you guys for or against those? I greatly appreciate your help.
Self-lobotomy or have a professional do
Always get a pro one.
Yeah.
Yeah, never self-lobotomize. It's just uneven and yucky.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate your help in understanding this frustrating situation and love your show so much. Anonymous, pronouns are she and her.
I did a weird deep dive, internet deep dive into lobotomies last week.
That is a
Really?
weird deep dive.
Yeah.
Just
like,
randomly?
Yeah.
Just-
Or it's, something
yeah.
clicked it into my head or something. But I started Googling, like, methods and, like,
What is the deal
what they
with
actually
deep
are.
dives? Yeah.
Well, because there were the two main kinds that remove the frontal lobe.
Yeah.
Which was, I guess somebody probably still does this. I guess I
Right.
can't completely be in past tense here.
Yeah.
But and then there was the other one, which is basically like scrape the inside of the skull
Yeah.
and just kind of like scrape the brain matter off. Like
Yeah.
it's some like nasty shit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way we were taught to do it, little different.
At
but-
Liberty.
Yeah, at Liberty. We
You
had a
take
different
crucifix,
technique.
you turn it upside
yeah.
down.
You got to get the demons out.
Right.
Yeah, and they're not just going to get out with an ice pick. Like you got to
It's
really get in there.
basically what Linda Blair did, but through the nose.
Yeah. It's kind of like the same way you prepare a pharaoh for burial.
Right.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, it's fine.
The jewel and most of a cat.
Yeah.
So with this, it's hard to say exactly with just what you put in the letter, whether or not this was like all CBT, because a lot of that could be used in a lot of different approaches, I think. And there's, I think, more to CBT than just that. So it's really kind of hard to say if that was their approach, just to begin with. But I think there's a lot more that other therapists could possibly do, and maybe that they were going to be doing but didn't get to. I don't know. I guess what I'm kind of thinking here is that a lot of this seems to be really kind of focused on kind of reprogramming your thinking a little bit, but not really going into the question of, like, how did that belief system get started, or what actually is the foundational belief system that you're supporting? Because I agree with you in the sense that I think over the long term, it probably would be effective, even if you didn't dive into, like, why do you interpret things that way, or what's going on that's creating this. If you just started practicing a different way of thinking, it's going to become more natural over a long period of time. But I don't know. I don't know what your thought is, if you think it would be more beneficial to actually get into kind of exploring, like, when something happens, how you're interpreting it that way.
So, a couple of pieces to this. First, I don't think your therapists were doing anything wrong. I'm going to start there. If you come at me and you tell me, yeah, man, like, I have a perfectionist streak, I have the self-criticism streak, it's really toxic, I'm really unhealthy with that. All right, go-to plays in my playbook. I'm going to role model for you the kind of positive voice that I want you to eventually adopt internally, right? And that means I'm going to role model that. I'm going to compliment you. I'm going to remind you of things you're doing well. I'm going to highlight your progress. I'm going to try to not be cheesy with it. I'm going to try to make it as natural and as organic as I can. But it's going to happen. And if you're already really allergic to compliments and praise and always doubting that kind of stuff, there is no amount of sugar I can pour on this medicine that's going to make it not taste like medicine. So I get it. You didn't like that kind of stuff, but I would have done the exact same thing with you, at least as one of the tools in my toolkit. The other one, trying to get you to start using positive reframing skills. You didn't say reframing, I am. But, you said, well, they would tell me to say nice things about myself. Yes, that's one thing we're going to do. CBT is also going to teach us to teach you to also positively reframe situations. So you'll look at it and say, oh man, I got one thing wrong on the test. And we're going to say, oh my gosh, you got 99 things right. How did you manage to do that? You're going to say, well, you're not listening to me. I didn't get it perfect. And we're going to say, yeah, I heard you. That's a bummer. But how did you manage to get 99 questions right? That's no joke. How did you do that? So we're trying to teach you to reframe and change that inner voice. So everything.
And by the way, Ryder, that would annoy me too.
And I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's therapy, right? Therapy
Right.
doesn't sound like coffee talk. It sounds like intentional change talk. So like we're doing that to refoster and reshape the inner voice. We're doing it with your permission. We're doing it alongside you, and we're trying to notably challenge it as we go. So there's nothing about that I've heard that I'd say, boy, that sounds bad. That sounds weird. I would come alongside you and say, I get it, but that is pretty typical stuff, and they're not necessarily wrong about that. The other thing I will say to you, Ryder, and this is just Jim being your buddy, not your therapist. That means I get to talk to you a little differently than your therapists do. Stop trying to win therapy, okay? Stop trying to do this right. I hear you being like, it might be a waste. I've got to get in there and be efficient. Stop it. Stop trying to win therapy. Stop trying to set a record. Stop trying to do this efficiently or correctly or fearing that you're going to somehow fail at it or waste other people's money or whatever. It is healthcare, okay? You go do it because you don't notice that your mind works in a healthy way. You notice that your brain is coming up with toxic interpretations of yourself and others, and that takes as much time as it takes to get out of you as sometimes it took to get into you. Okay, this is not some process that just you woke up with and all of a sudden you started thinking in perfectionist tones and self-hatred toxicity. That didn't just happen on the difference between a Tuesday and a Wednesday or in a year. It took a lifetime to build. So stop trying to win therapy, stop trying to do the shortcuts, and stop trying to look around and be like, okay, well, how do we do this right? I'm going to take control of therapy. Stop it. Stop trying to run this thing.
Also, just look at worst case scenario. If your family pays for therapy and everything, and you go to it, and let's say worst case scenario, it doesn't help you the way you want it to help you.
Right.
Big fucking deal.
You talked it out.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you talk to a nice person for an hour a week. They like you, and they tried to help you like yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe you were working through life stuff, and you just talked about life stuff with a human who gave you a second opinion.
Actually, that I think is a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I think the way to look at it is not what is this person doing. The way to look at it is I'm here with a person who cares enough and is trying to help me.
That's it. And I'll tell you,
just that mindset alone, I think that's going to change a lot for you.
It goes a long way because it stops. And I see this all the time. I'll have patients that show up and they go, all right, here's the thing, man. I need you to fix me. I need it done in this timeline. Go. And I try to tell them, listen, man, the metaphor of me being a mechanic is going to run out.
Obviously, I can do that.
Yeah,
and
obviously
I can do it in
could.
the amount of time that you want.
Yeah, I could deliver on time. I'm not Amazon Prime.
I'm not gonna, but I could.
We can't do that. And so whenever you approach us with that mentality, it really limits the work we're going to do because now everything I do at you, you're trying to find the magic trick. You're scrutinizing everything. When I tell you this, when I say I want you to say that, when I say I want you to journal, you're asking why? What's the purpose of this? Is this going to fix it? Are we moving on target? Are we moving on schedule? You're scrutinizing the work, and I need you to stop. Okay, earlier I made a reference that Nick and Jacob are really good pen and tellers because the sleight of hand was amazing on their little bit that they just did. I like listening to this show called Penn Sunday School where he talks about magic a lot. It's the real magician, Penn Jillette. And I like listening to him talk about magic. But a lot of times he talks about all the people that sit in the audience and they waste their money by sitting there trying to figure it out the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Just enjoy the show. You're here to be fooled. That's the agreement. The social agreement is they're magicians. They're supposed to be good at doing this, so good that you don't notice what they're doing and you can enjoy the reveal. And just be wowed and enjoy the childlike wonder of a magic show. Therapy has a component to that where I don't necessarily want somebody sitting down trying to figure out every single thing I'm doing and dissecting every single motivational interviewing technique I'm using or solution-focused brief therapy question or cognitive behavioral therapy reframe. I don't want you to second guess it. Get out. There's an old sign that they used to hang up in the mechanic shop that says, $300 for us to do it, $400 if you offer to help.
Right.
Stop trying to help me. Let me do
I've
this.
seen signs like that in doctors' offices too,
Right.
where it's something like my medical degree, and then something about
don't
you,
mistake this for your Google search.
WebMD or something like that. Yeah.
And you're not being that kind of person, writer. But I guess what I'm trying to do is lovingly and teasingly push back on you to say, hey, listen, stop trying to do this right. Stop trying to do it your way. give into the process. And if you look at it and go, this isn't helping yet, this isn't fixing yet, this isn't a light switch, writer. Okay, you took a lifetime to develop this perspective. Now, having criticized you thoroughly, I'm now going to give you an actual piece of
If
advice.
Jim's coming off a little rough,
I had a bad start. About an hour ago, some shit happened to me, writer, that shook me up pretty good. And it was a very elaborate ruse. And I've only recently realized it was all a gigantic facade. And my brain is catching up. But here's an actual tip. In your next therapist appointment, I would recommend that you say, hey, what do you think about us doing a trauma timeline together? Is that something you'd be interested in doing with me? A trauma timeline, which I've talked about previously on other episodes of the show, is a way to kind of design your life story and reveal to yourself positive and negative life-shaping events that have happened. And then if you carefully look at that with a qualified professional, sometimes you can start to reveal patterns that really started to shape the way you look at the world or the way you interact with others, the way you interact with yourself. Whenever I meet somebody who's going through this kind of toxic self-criticism, perfectionism, things like that, I tend to find that they may benefit from CBT, they may benefit from sitting down and challenging perspectives. More often, I find I have personal success with them when I go back, when I get in a time machine and I go back, and I'm not even trying to spot the obvious stuff about perfectionism. I'm just getting back into their history. And when I get into there, we start to do what Nick mentioned, getting to the meaning of the concept. Why do you interpret it this way? Why do you feel you need to have this right? Why is it feel wrong when you're not perfect? Why is that underneath things? Getting back into your history might be a great place for you to explore with therapy. But for you to successfully do this, stop trying to drive the car. Okay? Let the therapist be the therapist. Your job's to attend the show, do your part, do what you're asked to do. You're allowed to want results. You're allowed to want goals. I like that you're stating those things. And there has to be a part of you that's kind of acquiescing to this process, not being in a hurry and giving yourself permission to not be like on a speed run to get results. You're doing this for health. Sometimes therapy is just emotional yoga, and you're just going to stretch for the week and come out of there a little bit more limber and a little bit with better flow. And that's it. And that is okay. That is sufficient. It doesn't always have to be adding a new brick onto the tower to reach to this level that you're trying to reach to. So stop trying to win therapy. Think about a trauma timeline in your work. Those are probably my biggest give backs.
I think the only other thing I would comment on, and this again kind of comes from like a solution-focused brief therapy perspective, but you talked about being a perfectionist. One thing I would kind of want to look into is, when are you not a perfectionist, or when is the perfectionism not there? Because as much as you say you're a perfectionist and it's always there, I would argue that because you're a human being, no human being is 100% consistent.
Right.
So no matter how good you are at something, you'll never do it perfectly. And that includes perfectionism. So no matter how good of a perfectionist you are, you'll never be a perfect perfectionist. There are times when you won't be a perfectionist. And I would want to know more about those times.
Right.
And it's going to be hard to identify, maybe out of 1,000 times, 999 of them are you being a perfectionist, but what's that other one that's not there? When is it not there? Because that might be some useful information to take a look at. Now, the other question too is this something I should tell my future therapist, or can I tell, is there something I should tell them to guide me better? I think a lot of times with a lot of other writers that would write in, we would probably say, yeah, I think it's good to give your therapist some feedback about things that you respond to well and things that you don't. But I think in this particular case, it might be better not to do that. I don't know what your thoughts are, Jim, but
yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the collaborative effort. I mean, because the writer already appears to be in their head about what the therapist's doing, I'd rather you give away that truth, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather know that than you're sitting at home trying to figure out how I'm doing magic tricks and wondering if I'm doing them poorly. Talk to me, please. Come to me and be like, all right, listen, I'm frustrated, Jim. I'm emotional. Why are you emotional? I feel like I'm failing at therapy. I feel like we're not doing it fast enough. I feel like we're not getting progress. I don't want to waste people's money. I feel like I want results. And yeah, we're going to kind of pat that down and be like, okay, like we're not going to be dismissive of that, but we're also going to try to steer you into a more healthy direction of the way you need to think about therapy as kind of this process. It's not a sprint. It's a journey. And it took you a while. It took you a whole lifetime to get into these patterns. I hope it doesn't take you a whole lifetime to get out of them, but, cut me some slack. Give me some time to do this. Like, I can't undo 30 years in 30 days, or 3 months. Like, let's lean in, surrender to this process, stop being in a race with yourself. I understand your urgency. I understand why you want results. I admire that about you. And now take your foot off the gas and come with me. And there's going to be times that we're just meandering through this process, and I stop and say, hey, look at this flower. Isn't it beautiful? And you're like, yeah, flowers. Let's keep going. And I'm like, no, stay here. Linger with me for a while. No, Jim, we got to keep going. We got to get to that next mile marker, next pinnacle, the next summit on this thing. No. Look, there's a babbling brook. Come with me over here. No, the point, writer, is that I want you to come with me because you're so damn obsessed with marching up this fucking hill. I want you to learn how nice the sound of the babbling brook is and feel comfortable dipping your feet in it with me for a minute because that's the point.
Ooh, look, foxes.
There's foxes. Patreon.com/therapy. Great question, writer. And you know what? Good for you for working on this. Hope you take my teasing and playful pushback in the spirit it is offered, which is love and wanting you to be successful, but giving you a hard time because, hey, by now you've been listening to the show long enough. You know me. I'm teasy and playful, and I hope you hear it in the spirit of love that it's offered in. But Patreon.com/therapy. Come check it out. We want to take another quick break, and when we come back, we are either going to answer a whole nother question or run out of time and do the Patreon stuff. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Dawn, Richard Macy, and Lord Colin Stewart. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Our second question, thank you, Manu, is... which celebrities were born on December 9th? A. Nick Cage and Christian Bale.
Oh.
B. Leonardo DiCaprio and Bob Odenkirk. C. Donny Osmond and John Malkovich. Or D. Ryan Gosling and Jack Black. If you'd like to become a therapy producer, go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up.
I kind of think I share a birthday with Leo DiCaprio. For some reason, I think he's on December 18th.
Okay.
I'll bet you they're all December.
I bet they are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This sounds like a trick.
No. Manu knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Even to have found two people born on December 9th. Also, what is the significance of December 9th? Why was that
this
selected?
was supposed to air on December 9th, but because we record 2 weeks early, we didn't get this email until we had already recorded the first episode.
All right. So there is some relevance to this.
Oh, yeah. We're just missing it.
Yes.
Although this is our fault.
I'm going to take the bait, and I'm going to assume in good faith that it's not a trap, and I'm going to pick Jack Black and Ryan Gosling, because that would be interesting as an odd couple.
Why would... Oh, okay.
Just, like Ryan
I'm trying to figure out how that could be a trap.
One of the hunkiest people alive. Jack Black, less so, but very funny.
Oh, disagree.
That is probably true.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you could go to
Jack,
dinner
I
with
think
one
you're pretty
of them.
fucking hunky.
Yeah. All right. You got to screw, marry, and kill. All right. New question.
Jack Black,
let's
Jack
get rid
Black,
of
and Jack
Mauna's-
Black.
Mauna's question's stupid. Okay, let's go with this. This is a better question. All right. The same set of 8 people. you gotta marry one, kill one, screw one, go. I'm still going with Jack Black and Ryan
I'm going to
Gosling.
marry Leo.
Really?
Financially,
You're too old for
financially,
Leo.
he's set.
He ain't keeping you around, buddy.
Nah.
He's
That
gonna kick
wasn't-
you
that
to the
wasn't part of
curb.
that was part of the
Once
deal.
you hit 30, he's done. He stops at 29.
I'm going to go with Donny Osmond and John Malkovich.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
What was A?
Nicolas Cage and Christian Bale.
I'll go that one.
All right.
Okay, so you got A, I got C.
Yeah.
They're all equally valid guesses. Like
Yeah,
none
they
of
are.
these.
Yes.
Like, well, you idiot.
Yes.
Right.
What about that guy screams December 9th? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Probably there's like a zodiac like component to this, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, let's see. It is C, Donny Osmond and John Malkovich.
Was that me?
That was me.
Damn it.
I forgot my own guess a second ago. Whatever. Okay.
Bonus question.
Oh,
Malkovich's paternal grandparents were immigrants from Croatia and Slovenia.
True.
True or false?
Shit.
One of these countries is landlocked.
What? What were the countries called?
Croatia and Slovenia.
It's a trap because
don't-
Slovenia's not real. Croatia's a thing. I think it's a trick question. So
Well,
I'm
I mean,
going
if it's
false.
not real, then it's not landlocked.
What's it called? Slovenia?
Slovenia.
That's not real.
No.
It's false because it's gonna end up being like false. Slovenia is not a real country.
Yeah, I think they're on. I think they're on the edge, so I'm going to say false.
On the
Okay.
edge.
Correct.
I'm going to say true, and it's Slovenia, because Croatia is going to border the sea, and then Slovenia is land.
Okay, I'm false
Okay.
because I think Slovenia doesn't really exist. But if I'm right, even if Slovenia does exist, I
If
still
you're
get points.
okay, if you're right, you get that iPad.
Deal.
Wait, what?
It's a 50-50 shot. I feel
Wait,
like I have
wait.
a good shot at this.
If he's right about the question, or if he's right about Slovenia not
If
existing?
he's right about Slovenia not existing.
Okay.
Oh, all right, steeper hill. Yeah, steeper hill. That maybe I'm not going to come out of.
Let me clarify
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Thank you for
Out of-
clarifying.
Jim has
Out
a
of
50-50
curiosity.
shot.
Before I give away an iPad, that's not mine.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best kind of iPad to give away, in fairness.
Oh, false. Both have access to the Adriatic Sea.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, all right.
So false, which is what I guessed. Therefore, I get the bonus point.
Yeah.
And
Fine.
I'm right.
You and I both got the bonus point.
I got the main point.
Yeah.
and you guys
Yeah.
got the bonus.
I think did I get 3 right?
Yeah.
I just got 1, I think.
I think in the first question, I don't think I got any of that.
I think I got both of them in the first one.
Yeah.
No, you got one in the first one, Nick.
Oh, yeah, I got the bonus. I
yeah,
got
so
the
you
bonus.
got
So I got
2, I got 3,
I got 1.
and you got 1.
Yeah, I just got the bonus on the second question, I think.
Yeah.
I'm living on the edge.
And unfortunately, I've just looked it up. You were wrong about Slovenia not being a country.
It is a thing.
It exists.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man.
I
I've
just
learned a lot
Googled
today.
true or false Slovenia exists.
It's
and it came back as true.
Not the first guy to Google that.
I know
It
it's
probably
north
auto-filled
of,
it for you as you did.
north
it.
of
Yeah.
Greece.
I just wrote true or false, and then it filled in Slovenia
Slovenia is a
exists,
thing?
question mark.
Slovenia country question mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Sweden,
just typed the letter S, and that filled in
Switzerland.
automatically.
Yeah, I think if you get SLOV, you're getting Slovenia. I don't think there's anything else coming up on it.
Oh, let's find out. We can test
Slovakia?
that. Let's see.
Ooh, let's see. Let's go with okay.
SLOV.
I'll bet you
Slovakia.
Slovakia is going to outpace Slovenia.
You think?
Yeah, I think. Okay, what do you think? Slovakia or Slovenia? Which one comes up first?
Whichever one we have to spend less time talking about.
Slovakia.
Slovenia
Slovenia.
came up first.
Ooh.
SLOV. Slovenia comes up first.
Yeah.
Slovakia comes up second.
Oh, what's coming up in third?
Slovenly.
That feels right. Yeah, slovenly.
Yeah.
So we are out of time, so we will not be reading a third question
Aw.
on this one because somebody had to dupe me into believing that Jacob got an iPad. And that
Are we okay? I feel
I
like you're
mean,
still
I'll be okay.
you're still you're still pretty salty.
It
At the
messed
end of the
with me.
day,
It
you're
was-
leaving with a gift. Jacob is not.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm
Jacob
gonna hold
gets
on
nothing.
To my,
That's right.
My sipping cup a lot tighter.
Jacob leaves only with the satisfaction.
Jacob's acting skills are intimidating.
Having seen this.
Like I now feel scared in life that I could be duped by him at any given moment.
Oh, you
Yeah.
could definitely be duped by me at
yeah,
any moment.
Yeah, it's
No, that's true.
That was a very, very strong acting, and like it required a lot. Like in order to feign shock and also like awkward surprise of like, hey man, I'm a little weird about you giving me an iPad, but like I'm in on the bit. Like this is funny. Jim's getting harassed, but.
I mean,
This is
even
kind of weird, Nick. Like you got me. That was he just sunk that putt, and so I was like, God, this is weird, right?
Well,
like it was weird that he did that, but
I
like
agree.
okay,
because even in my mind, I was thinking like, come on, we talked about this.
yeah. Like there's
Oh, I got you
Yeah.
too.
yeah. Pretty convincing, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
probably sitting there shitting yourself like, oh Jesus, he's probably gonna be really disappointed if he finds out that doesn't work.
No, he remembers that text I told
Yeah.
him about like, I need this back. I need
we
this back.
agreed. Yeah, this is a joke. Like this is all a bit. Yeah,
I mean,
I
you had
did
to feel better
actually-
when I pulled out a second iPad.
did.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I did actually text him. No joke. I did text
Yeah.
him because I told him what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm telling you this because you're not actually getting me.
Yeah,
That is true.
yeah. I want to clarify.
I need this back.
This is a joke. The whole thing's a prop.
I can't believe you thought I would actually buy him an iPad.
That's great.
I was upset that I had to spend $6 on that shot.
Oh
glass.
yeah, no, and I was gonna talk about how cheap you are because like you are the most frugal person I've ever met. There's shit in your house that you're like, I could probably just build it, and so you tried. Like and
Yeah.
like Laura's like, it's literally at the dollar store. Like we could go get this right. No, it's fine. I know how to melt glass. So like it's absolutely a thing that I was sitting there like, on what planet? And I thought in the back of my head, I thought what will end up being the deal is he will say like, well, it's refurbished and like it was on clearance, or I thought, oh, maybe he like bid on it like on one of those auction sites and like he got it and he was like, as much as I want this, it's worth the joke to give it to Jacob. So like my brain was trying really hard to come up with a rational explanation.
He stole it.
Yeah, because Google's
He
like,
stole a pallet of iPads.
yeah, this is a $500 item minimum, you know? And so I'm like, what? Like, but then I'm like, he did just spend like a lot of money going to like a concert, like, which is an equal waste of time. Like that's flushing money too. So like, I'm like, maybe he's just kind of in that mentality now. Like he
Maybe
Nick's
Nick's just spending money.
Yeah, it's 40. Who knows what he's doing anymore? So yeah, it was plausible. It was plausible enough that I with all my heart believed that bit was real. Like there was not 1 ounce of me that thought,
Oh no, you
this
bought
isn't
it.
happening.
You bought it totally.
I bought it completely, but it was mostly based on Jacob's performance.
Yeah,
Like
no, he
nothing
sold it.
about his reaction
Absolutely.
got me to be like, this is bullshit. But like a big part of my brain was like, this has to be bullshit, right? But then I was kind of like, I was in the back of my head, I was like, oh man, I hope Nick doesn't like say, just kidding, buddy. That was to make Jim blanch. Like, I need that iPad back. Because like he seemed really sincerely excited about it. And part of me is like, God, I really hope this isn't some sick joke because that's not cool. Like
Never
Jacob's really
once.
happy about this.
Not once did I ever think you were concerned about Jacob's emotions.
Oh no, that was in there too. Because that's how good it was. Like the acting was that good that I was like, my brain is coming up with every plausible explanation. I'm like, he's probably just going to ask for it back and be like, just kidding, I bought this for Laura, but like I thought I'd make a bit out of it. But I was so sincerely convinced Jacob thought he was getting this that I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, I hope Nick's not being a dick. And like, that's not funny. Like, you know, Jacob's going to be really like, oh, cool. And then like Jacob would just give it back and be like, yeah, I kind of figured it was a joke. But then it's kind of like, that's fucked up, man. Like to get me, you bing Jacob. Like, it's not cool. So yeah, like my brain was trying really hard, but the piece of data I was missing was that Jacob's performance was flawless.
Yeah.
So I had nothing. So I was like, well, he is as shocked as I am. So now what? Like, what do you do with this? So bravo, gentlemen. That is Oscar worthy. It was
good.
Very well executed. Well, we've definitely reached the end of the show. Our patreon.com/therapy has definitely a gem. If you want to hear my authentic reaction to this entire facade, patreon.com/therapy, you can hear me in my horror show reaction. And also a great story about my camping trip and a great letter from Megan Smith, as well as some lovely gifts
Megan.
and some lovely treats for us.
Chocolate's amazing.
Wonderful stuff. And super thankful that she's part of the show and super thankful that she's become our full-time animator. That was nice for her to agree to that. So now I just have to figure out how to put her to work. And I don't know what you do with an animator. They make things, I guess. Cartoons. We could be cartoon people.
We have a Pod Therapy cartoon.
We do. Well, we have a Pod Therapy comic. I believe these are different mediums.
Right.
So I think that maybe Megan can make us GIFs. That would be badass. Megan, if you can make GIFs, we need to talk because I use GIFs. Like, we are all about Twitter. So patreon.com/therapy if you'd like to support the show and make it possible. We have new friends that are supporting us. Oh, by the way, PSA before I get to the thank yous. Like I said in the beginning of the show, if you want to sign our yearbook for the end of the year, we do seasons. So this is season 4. And if you'd like to sign our yearbook, go to the description in your podcast app of this episode. There's a link. Click it. We've opened it. You can see the post. It's free. You don't have to give us any money. But sign it. You know, share your thoughts. Let us know what you feel about the end of the year. See the other people that support the show. You can see other people's names and see about their comments. It's pretty cool. And then also for patrons, there will be an end-of-the-year reflection packet, really cool activity, and there's a thread to discuss and comment and talk about how your year went with other members of the show, and then also about your future, answer your own questions, and that'll be fun. We have a new TheraPal to thank. Welcome, Patty Glad. I like that name.
Welcome, Patty. And we got a couple Therapods.
Woo-hoo!
We got Chris the Scoopless is joining us this month, and we got Megan Smith.
Megan Smith.
And Take It EV Podcast, Sustainable Living for All, increased his pledge. Thank you.
Yeah. Take It EV converted to euros And that actually, that was
funny.
more. That was actually more money because euros.
Yeah.
So it was really funny because it was like, this person has converted to euros. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And then I did the math. I'm like, oh, shit, thank you. That's really cool of you. So thank you, Take It Easy podcast, which I started listening to, by the way, because we always banter with Take It Easy on Twitter. And so I was like, I would like to listen to this. And it was really funny because the episode I listened to, whoever, I don't even know Take It Easy's first name at this point. I don't want to because it's more fun to call them Take It Easy. But they commented, or in their podcast, they said, so listen, this is not the episode you should be listening to if you're first time listener to this show. Definitely go to another episode. And I was like, that's hilarious because I am a first time listener. And then I was like, you don't tell me what to do. And I listened anyway. So had a good time with that. Yeah, it's a fun little way to learn about that. Also, we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of our fan club, the Theraproducers. Thank you, Smitty Scoop, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie, Jr. Mintz, Kayla Lansbury, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, King of Student Loan Debt, Dr. Ben Dawn, Crazy Banana Scoop, Mason Miller, Carolyn Albert, Leon Kassab, Kevin Chamberlain, Malia, Richard Macy, Cindy Ash, Newstick, First of Name Breather, Fire Dumb of Ass, Lord Colin Stewart, Dirty B, and Ben Stanley.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we've got for this week's session. We want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social
I'm
podcast.
overwhelmed.
And thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it by opening the episode's description in your podcast app and copying and pasting the link we provided into your social media. Don't forget, you can find us at facebook.com/podtherapy, on Twitter at PodTherapyGuys, on Instagram at PodTherapyGuys, and at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm genuinely surprised.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
At least I got my little mug.
I'm just kidding. I'm very whelmed.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says, how did you feel? Whelmed.
I'm perfectly whelmed.
I felt whelmed.
Yeah.
Not underwhelmed.
It was the right amount of well.
I felt,
Yeah.
appropriately balanced and whelmed. Yeah. Why can't that be a word, right?
Go ahead.
I feel like we should use that.
I think you should.
Because to be overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
is to be...
It infers a
What would you say
state
is a
of
synonym
whelmed.
for whelm? Like, what is the synonym of whelm? If one is overwhelmed, they are stressed beyond capacity. Maybe that capacity.